Let's talk about another aspect of marketing, and that is distribution. This is the first of 3 videos on the topic. We will discuss what is distribution, supply chain management, and marketing intermediaries. The first definition is physical distribution logistics is managing the supply of input materials from the factory and the movement of products from factory to commercial users and consumers. So it's just one of the things they do in the supply chain. So again, physical distribution. Supply chain, a complex system of facilities, we'll look at that down here, which convert raw materials into finished products and distribute them to end consumers and customers. So it's everything in the process of making stuff, from raw resource that maybe you dig out of the ground to the end customer and everything that happens in between. It operates at the intersection of marketing operations and manufacturing, which means it's kind of messy because it's operating at the intersection of these things, and it's very easy to put it in different areas of the organization chart. It doesn't really fit nicely in any of them. It overlaps all of them. So facilities back up here include suppliers, shippers, distributors, retail outlets, in-house, external, whatever. So let's look at the diagram of this. The supply chain, the raw material supplier for plastics. So we're talking about a toy factory. And we could start out beyond this and say the oil company supplies oil to the plastics company, and the plastics company is here. But we'll just start here kind of arbitrarily. Raw material supplier, plastics, sells plastics to the toy factory. They make toys. The toy factory sells direct, and they also sell wholesaler distribution. The wholesaler sells it to retailers, other wholesalers, and distribution centers, and then on to customers. So you can have many levels in here, or you can just have this. So supply chain management, the design, planning, execution, control, and monitoring of supply chain activities with the objective of creating net value, money, profit, building a competitive infrastructure, so doing better than your competitors, leveraging worldwide logistics, and that means bringing stuff from all around the world depending on where it's cheapest and best, synchronizing supply with demand, that is bringing stuff in as it's needed and like not over bringing in stuff before it's needed, which causes problems, and measuring performance globally. So this is from the Apex Dictionary. It should be driven by customer needs. So it should all start here. You recognize the customer demand, and then it works back through here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So SCM increases logistical efficiency by minimizing inventory and moving goods efficiently from producers to the end users. Yeah, along here, you do not want inventory building up because inventory goes stale, it's stolen, it is eaten by rats. It's actually not a small problem. There's all sorts of losses along here. So you don't want to keep a lot of excess stuff in here. And money that's not moving is losing. So yeah. Efficiency by minimizing excess inventory. The supply chain management goal is to satisfy customer needs by coordinating activities of supply chain members in a no problems process. So yeah, we're supposed to go back here. We're supposed to do all this stuff without glitching anywhere along the way. We're not supposed to be causing anyone along here to have problems. Supply chain management has bidirectional roles. Yes, stuff is going both directions. From the customer, information should be going back to the supplier, to the manufacturers, wholesalers, whatever, all along the route. And from the beginning of the supply chain to the end, goods should be moving. To communicate customer demand and needs from the point of sale back to the supplier, that's what we just talked about, and to flow physical goods in a timely and cost-effective way for manufacturers. So that's this one over here. Supply chain management is responsible for channel strategy. Including suppliers, retailers, etc. This is not really the same as marketing strategy, although the two will definitely impact each other. Manages finding and obtaining raw materials, and that includes price negotiations, service levels, all the stuff necessary to bring in materials and convert it. Schedules production, products made to estimates, and so they are out there figuring out how much we need to produce when. And so you make products to estimates. However, it is always better if you can do customer pull production, so what's called mass customization. And it's built when the customer order is in hand. This is the ideal situation. However, products are still most often made to estimates. We think we're going to sell this many this quarter, so that's how many we're going to manufacture. Manages internal orders, builds, and bills. So for example, subparts, supply chain has to pull together many, many parts, screws, handles, plastics, connectors, anything like that. They have to pull it all together, and it has to come together at the factory at the right time. Manages inventory control costs, loss, stockouts, and so on. So we're going to talk about inventory control systems in a bit. But yeah, it doesn't do any good to have a bunch of handles sitting around if you don't have the screws to install them on your products. So stockouts are a bad thing. So they've got to have all this stuff coming in. It's all got to be synchronized. Transports, stores, supplies, and finished goods. Yes. So often 5 to 10% of the cost of goods in brick and mortar stores, up to 25% in online sales. So yeah, transportation and storage is a big thing. Facilitates customer service, warranty, add-ons, and so on. Manages info flows, customer needs, supplier feedback. Yeah, so you got to tell the supplier, yes, we're a little bit slow, or we got overstocked or whatever. So you got to keep the suppliers synchronized. They're not just internally to the factory. It's not just one thing internal to the factory, but all the outside parties also have to be synchronized as part of the job. Coordinates external partner relationships, distributors, retailers, suppliers, and we kind of said that. Distribution channel, an organized network of agencies and institutions that, in combination, perform all the activities required to link producers, the manufacturers, with users, consumer or industrial users, to accomplish the marketing tasks. So that's from the AMA, the American Marketing Association. Goods and services are physically moved from one organization to the next. Yeah. And as each entity takes possession, it may or may not take title, ownership. That's very important. For example, when you order something from an online store and the online store ships it to you by the U.S. Post Office, the U.S. Post Office is not taking ownership of that product. It is going from the online store to your ownership, and that's it. So some companies do take ownership in the movement. We'll talk about that. Marketing intermediaries, middlemen or go-betweens, they're channel members who assist in moving goods or services from producers and suppliers to consumers. So these include wholesalers, resellers, brokers, agents, and again, we'll talk about these in a minute. So type of marketing intermediaries, these folks back here. We have agents, sales reps who represent manufacturers and wholesalers. They do not take title. Example, shipping agents, or again, the U.S. Post Office. Brokers bring buyers and sellers together. They don't take title. Commercial real estate, they don't take ownership. Their job is to sell a product. So they go from the owner and they bring the owner and the buyer together, and that's their job. That's what they get paid for. Industrial distributors, these are independent wholesalers that buy related product lines from manufacturers and sell them to industrial users. So Grainger's, Fastenal, Airgas, Graybar. If you've ever been into a Grainger, they carry just everything that an industrial customer of a certain type would want. They have mops and cleanup stuff and screws and instruments to measure stuff and whatever. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for an industrial customer. Wholesalers, firms that sell only finished goods to retailers, manufacturers, and institutions. So there's no end customer sales. Cisco and US Foods are examples of this. Retailers, firms that sell goods to customers and industrial users for their own consumption. Walmart, Kroger, Home Depot. Yeah, the people that we as individuals typically deal with. Industrial channels, manufacturer directly to industrial customer. So this is big items like an airplane. If you're buying airplanes, you're probably going to Airbus or Boeing, and you're buying them directly. You're not usually buying them through someone else unless it's like a secondhand plane. Manufacturer to industrial distributor to industrial customer. These are smaller items like screws. It could be, the screw company, the person who consolidates bunches and bunches of types of fasteners. There's one in our hometown here. The woman one time, the owner told me they kept 250,000 different types of fasteners, so from different companies, and then they sell to the industrial customer. So items like screws and fasteners and so on. Manufacturer, agents, brokers, and they sell to industrial customers. SKF Bearings does this. They are the manufacturer. They sell to a company called BDI Bearing Distributor, And then those companies, or that company, will rather sell to companies like General Motors and other car companies. So we'll have a diagram of this, but these are consumer channels. So we went from industrial channels to consumer channels, and typically they are one of these types. We have manufacturer, sells to retailer, sells to the consumer, like yourself or as an individual. An example is the shoe manufacturer to Walmart, and then to consumer who buys the shoes. Honda manufacturing, they sell to a dealer and then to the consumer. Manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, and the consumer. So you notice we're getting more people involved here. So for example, Kraft Heinz sells to Yunfi as a wholesaler. They sell to Kroger, and you may go to Kroger as a consumer and buy from them. Another example is P&G. They sell Tide and Gillette. They sell through McLane, which is a wholesaler. They sell to Walmart, CVS, and other companies like that, and then on to the end customer. Manufacturer to consumer. So if you go to a farmer's market, that is pretty much manufacturer to consumer. The farmer is a manufacturer and they sell directly to you. Or if you've ever bought artwork or anything like that, you go to the artist and you buy directly from them. Farmer to broker to retailer to consumer. So here again, we have more people in between. We have the farmer. There's a company called Epic Sales. They are a broker. Then Kroger would be the retailer, and then we would go into our Kroger store and we would buy as a consumer. And lastly, the service firm goes through agent broker to the consumer. And an example of that would be State Farm. They sell through an agent to the consumer, so that would be insurance. Your house, you may sell it through a real estate agent and then on to the next buyer. And lastly, we have the New York Stock Exchange, and they sell through brokers, and that broker sells to the end customer, which is the stock buyer. Here is a direct channel. That's manufacturer to consumer. So that's right here, manufacturer to consumer. We have manufacturer, retailer, consumer, manufacturer, retailer, consumer, like that. And then I won't go through all these others like that, but manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, consumer, service firm, agent, broker, consumer, farmer, broker, retailer, consumer. Now you notice up here, this says direct channel. This says one level channel. That's because there's one level in between the origin and the final destination. And this one is a two-level channel because there are two agencies between the origin and the final. And then here's a one level, and again, a two-level channel. Okay, well, that was it for the distribution, part 1 of 3. So we will go on to part 2, which we will cover common distribution channels and types of common distribution channels. Okay, onward.